Hello, creatives. Welcome to A Kid Called Beastmaker session. In this session, we have Void, and today we're diving into mood lighting. Here's an example of what we are making today. Let's get started.
Let's go.
You guys see my screen, I assume? If everyone sees my screen, just say hi or say yes or say something beastly. Yes, let's go. Okay,
Yes.
so I'm gonna start with a little question for every one of you, and if you can answer in the chat. We're looking at this scene. This is the photo I posted on X, and how many lights are being used in this scene right now? Can you guys take a guess, or somebody knows? How many lights are being used right now? I see a lot of answers. I see a lot of good answers.
Wait, Lost said 4, so I'm gonna also go with 4.
You're right, though. So there are 4 lights in this scene, and I'll go through all of them, and I'll tell you why all of these are important. So when we're looking at this scene, we see the light bulb is glowing, and you see the light is reflecting on his face. So some people would assume, I haven't seen the answer here, so kudos to all of you, because some people would assume there's only one light in this scene, because we're only seeing this light, and this is sort of, you know, background, but it doesn't count as a light, because if you're not thinking as a 3D artist, you just think this is light and this is just noise or whatever. So actually there's 4 lights. We got some light here above. I'm just gonna show it right now. Let's see. Okay, so as you guys can see, I'm just going to hide the camera for a second so we have a better view. Okay, so we have a light here on his top head. As we can see here, it's a light shining on his head. We have a light on his right side, which is the light we see shining here. And of course, we've got the light shining on the left of him. These lights are what are called environmental lights. So this is something we really have to keep in mind when we're making cool stuff, when we're making renders. There's not only the light that we assume is there, but there's also light coming from all over the place, which you don't automatically would think of. And let's check what this scene would give without all these lights. I'm just going to turn it off. And as you can see, it's still a pretty cool thing. It's still a pretty good render. We still see what has to be seen, but we're missing all of the details of our model. We're missing everything that tells us the mood, the details of our model. We're missing a lot of information that you want to give to your audience. So I'm just gonna put them back on, and as you can see, one by one, they all change how we view our render. So I'm just gonna turn off the bulb light right now so we can see what that does. As you can see, we have a light source inside of our bulb, but it's not the only thing that's emitting light, because inside of our bulb there's also, and I'm just going to turn them off, still some lights, but this is not what is creating these squiggly lines, because these squiggly lines are actually 3D, how do you say it? 3D models. It's like you would add a plane, it's like you would add a circle inside of it, and it emits light. So we're just going to search for the one that gives the light, and obviously it's the coil. So I'm just going to turn on our light source again without the coil, and as you can see, there's again some information missing that you want to see in your render. So I'm going to turn back on the coil again, and as you can see, it gives a lot of warmth to our scene, but also it gives some detailing. So every little light detail really matters in your scene. Why is it important to keep all of them in mind? Because you really want to, like I said, you really want to give the full information of your render. Without all these ones, you're not going to get the full picture, and without the ones that are inside of the bulb, you're just going to have your environmental lighting. So I'm going to show you guys some tricks how to create cool lightning effects in one click. I'm going to start with this. If someone doesn't have a lot of time, you're going to have a really good value for your money, and we will go a little bit further into it once the session continues, and we will see about other lightning techniques that are widely used. But I'm going to start by far the coolest one I found, and this is, hold on, I'm just going to turn off the environmental light, and this is actually an add-on, and this add-on is called Better Lightning version 2, as you can see. This is the add-on, and it's just a regular add-on like you would use a Beastify add-on. It's the Better Lightning add-on. I'm just going to, give me a second, I'm going to paste it. There we go. Blender Market. Let's search for the Better Lightning add-on. There we go. Okay, Better Lightning version 2. As you can see, it's not a free add-on. It's not an add-on that costs a lot of money, and it's something that could take your renders a step up really easily. Let me just paste it in the chat. I'm just going to try to paste it like it would work. There we go. Okay, just delete the space after the .com. So it's betterlightning.com. As you guys can see, what is Better Lightning? It's a lightning tool add-on for Blender. So I'm just going to, instead of working on here, I'm going to dive into it inside of Blender. So what does it do? Basically, I'm clicking it open, and as you can see, you have all kind of different lightning presets. And the cool thing about this, they are also animated presets. So if you're going to use one of these, they're going to be moving. You can change the color, you can change the intenseness of the effect, you can change the power of the light source, you can do anything you want with it. For example, some cool ones that are really usable in this collection is the first one, which is an underwater light. So if you want to get an underwater vibe into your scene, it's very easy. You just go to this one, you click on it, and we'll open it later on. For example, we have some trees and some leaves, which is a really cool one as well. We have a big industrial fan that's going around. I don't know if you guys saw the broom animation for the community vault. This was a light that was used actually, and for now we're going to use this one as well. But as you can see, it will help you out with a lot of things, some computer glitches, you even have some lightning, some god rays that you can make with it. But for now we're going to go with this one. Okay, so we're just going to click it open, and we are going to import this light into our scene. I'm going to zoom out a little, and I click import. As you can see now, at the top here, you see the ball, and you see this is the light I have just added. And as you can see, I have to first click it into place to where I want it to see, where I want to put it. So for example, if I'll put it here, we just have some shade from it, which gives a really cool effect. If I put it here, we really have a smudge of darkness, we have a full light in here. So this is not an HDRI, this is a real light source, just like you would add a lamp or a square light into your scene. So I'm just going to click, and now it's put into our scene. And again, as you can see, it is just a simple light source. I'm going to dim it, and now I can open it again. So it's just, as you can see, I'm just going to dim the lights from our bulb as well, so we really see only the light from our preset. as you can see, it's no HDRI, there's no background information that's being added, it's just a light source. We can make sure it's gone and we can open it up again. We can now do all kinds of things with this light source. I think I'm going to put it a little closer on our subject so we have more of an idea what's going on. So we can change the colors. The color of our light, the first light, as you can see, is a beige light, and the second one is a black light, so it doesn't emit any kind of light information. So color 1, we can change it to whatever you want. If you want a more blue light, you can go for a pink light. You can go as much as far as you want with it. Second light, we can also adjust it, so instead of a dark spot, it will become a bright spot or a colored spot. You can do this as well. You can set the strength of these lights. For example, if you don't want it to be so harsh, you can just put the strength a little less, or you can put it a little more. So, as you can see, this light is not doing anything right now, so it's a static light for now. But as we going to see, I'm going to move around my keyframes, and as you can see, our light is automatically becoming animated without something we had to do about it. So again, lighting is not only a good technique to set the mood, but it will also give your renders, in this case, some animation, and it will keep your renders fluent, it will keep your renders more realistic, because a light is, in most cases, it's not a static thing. At least when you're outside and you're under trees, it's not a static light. You're going to have to, I'm just going to show it right now with some leaves. I'm going to dim this light. As you can see, the leaves are always moving, and it's not just a light that's a steady thing that doesn't do anything. It's really something that gives a little detail. It moves around just a little, but this is something that really will make your renders become something where you blow life into with these kinds of tools. And as you can see, it's just one click to just really make it work fine. I mean, we can go for a glitch lightning setup, which is a really cool setup. You just have to figure out where you gotta put it, what the vibe of your render is, and again, if you can just make the strength a little more, make it a little less, depending on what you need. We can just go ahead with this. For example, I'm going to put back again my area lights. We're going to add, for example, this light with some holes in it. I'm going to again make sure it doesn't do too much here, and we have a very nice extra added little detail into our render. You just gotta play around with how everything is looking, with how everything interacts with each other, and you can do really cool stuff with it. We just gotta change the color to match a little bit, and we can do really interesting things with these. I'm going to try to open our project. Let me see. We have the broom project, and I'm just going to try to find it so we can show you guys how it works inside of a project. Let me see if I can find it real quick. It's the broom animation. Just give me a second, guys. Let's see if I got the right one. And then we'll see how a scene is built up. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I'm just going to put this down. We don't need you anymore. Thank you very much. Okay, so this is the broom scene that was used, and I'm just going to make sure we see all the lights and all the elements. Okay, so as you guys can see, this is not a complicated scene. So we have a wall, a fake wall, because it's not really a wall, so we just have a fake wall. We have a vault. I'm in pose mode, that's why it's not selecting. We have a wall, we have a vault, we have a floor, and we have our beast, and that's it. There's nothing else going on in this scene. We just have these three elements, but we don't need anything else because our camera will only show this. So you don't need to create elaborate scenes where you put a bank worker here and here's a door where people can enter. Nobody's gonna see it, and it's just going to eat up your CPU. So don't make it if you're not going to see it. We're only seeing this part of our render, so we're only going to show, we're only going to build this part. Again, let me change some things here. There we go. So this lightning in this scene is a very moody lightning. So if you're in a bank vault, you're obviously indoors. So you're gonna start with an indoor lightning because we're not going for hyper realism, but we're going, when you're doing a render, unless you're going really for a cyberpunk theme, you're going for a semi-realistic render, which means your lightning will have to react or will have to be set as the real world would have lights as well. So I'm just going to search for all the lights we have in here, and I'm just going to make sure I can dim them first. There we go. Okay, so as you guys can see, there's no more light in here, although we see a little bit of light here. Why is this? Because I've added a fog, and this fog I showed you guys before is from the Alt-Tab Easy Fog. This is actually not this one. Let me see, the Magic Doorway Fog, and our Magic Doorway Fog, as you guys can see, has a little bit of an emission going on. So that's why our scene is not completely dark. I'm just going to make sure we don't see it right now. There we go. No more ground fog and no more emission from anything. So now our scene is completely dry. There's no light in it whatsoever. So we're going to start with our inside lightning, which is a very little light, just so the light bounces of our vault, and it's like a light that's hanging here. You just gotta make sure there's some light emitting from the top, because we're looking for a how do you call it, a semi-realistic environment, which means you have some light in any situation. If you got a vault, it will be indoors, it will be inside of a hallway of a bank, and there will be a light at the top in every situation. So we have to put it in here. 100% we need this light. Second light, and actually it's just from the Better Lightning preset that I just showed you guys, I'm going to add it, is our big fan light as you see it. And why did I use a big fan light? Because in a bank there won't be a super big fan that does this. However, we're going for a more industrial, a dystopian vibe. I really love a dark dystopian setup in my scenes, so this is perfect to get the job done. And as well, we're guarding a vault, so it can be a little dangerous, it can be a little adventurous, which this light perfectly did for me in this situation. As you guys can see, this light is also animated, but once we're making our little animation, let me see, there we go, I'm just going to make it smaller. Once we're making our animation, the focus is the face. So in the video, our camera goes from here and it goes back slowly, and it goes only focus on the face. And if we want to focus on the face, we don't want a dark face in the middle of our video, because there won't be anything to see if our face is too dark. So we really want to make sure our light, which is moving, which is animated, isn't blocking out anything of our subject too much. So I'm just going to select the preset and I'm going to replace the place a little bit, and as you guys will see, at some point the darkness will go over the face, as you guys can see here. It's not super clear, so I'm just going to move it a little bit further. So as you guys can see, we start with a very well lit beast, everything is going well, but all of a sudden it goes dark on the beast's face. And this is something you do not want to have when working with this plugin, and something you really gotta watch out for, because if in the middle of your video you're just going to be stuck on a dark screen and you won't be able to see anything. Again, if you're doing this for just a background object, it might be fine if it goes dark and it turns lighter again, but if you're doing this really of your front subject, then you really should make sure you are not having any drastic changes in your lighting, because you want your audience to be able to follow everything your subject is doing. So we got these two lights. These two lights are not just white lights. These lights are a little blue, and I think this preset light is of the same color as the little blue area light as well here. So why are we choosing a blue color, and why are we choosing sometimes an orange color? Let's check it out. I'm just going to change the colors of these lights to an orangey color, and you guys will understand immediately what's the difference between the two of them. So when we change the colors of our lights to orange, you're going to have a early morning, early evening vibe. The sun is normally a yellower, an orangier, depending on the time of day, color than the moon. The moon it's not a white light, because if you're looking up at the sky, you're going to see a white moon, but if you want to portray a night environment, you really gotta choose a little blue inside of your light. Don't just go with white, just make it a little blue, and your scene will automatically transform into something that's really set into a night environment. And please don't think I did this mistake when I first started doing renders. Don't think when you're doing a dark render, a render of a nighttime, that there is no light in your scene. There is always light in your scene, and you really need to make sure the audience can watch your renders and your videos when, for example, they're with their son, when they're with their phone and the sun is really shining on their phone. The best test you gotta do for when you're doing a render is take your render, put it on your phone, play the animation, but play it when your brightness is really on its lowest point. Because if your phone brightness is on its lowest point and you can't really see anything or everything that's going on in your scene, or everything that you want people to see in your scene, you gotta go back to your project and you really gotta turn up the power of your lights. And it might seem way too bright in your Blender session while you're working on it, but the most of your audience will not be seeing your work on their PC, they will be seeing it on their phones, if they're sleeping in bed next to their girlfriend, so their saturation, their brightness of their phone is down, and if you can't see all the details you need to see when the brightness is down, you're gonna get some you're not going to get the results you want. You really want your scene to be bright enough, and make sure you have enough power in your lighting to light up everything you want your people to see. And I hear you thinking, but if there's too much light, I don't have a dark vibe anymore. The dark vibe, as we saw in the other project, for example, I'm just going to put it on again once more in here. The dark vibe doesn't come from it being dark, it comes from a bluer light instead of an orangey light. So if there wasn't any light here, all of my information would have been lost. Now all of my information is still here, but the audience still knows it's a dark place. It's not a daylight, it's a dark night, it's a dark place where he's at, but everything is visible. And that's something you really gotta find a balance for in your renders. So don't, I would say the opposite of overdo. Don't underdo your lighting. Make sure everything is visible. And if you want to go for a dark vibe, make sure that your environmental lights are basically to the blue side of the spectrum, so the audience really thinks of it as, oh, it's nighttime right now. If I would do this in orange, it would definitely not be a nighttime render, but the blue really makes it a nighttime render. So for this scene, just to finish up, I didn't think this was effective enough, so I added some ground fog for some cool ground foggy thingies, and I added a magic doorway, which also adds a little bit of magic touch around it. And as you guys can see, it doesn't look like anything at this time, but I'm going to show you the final result, which is exactly what I'm talking about. You gotta make sure, let me just search for it, you gotta make sure there is enough light, and making sure there is enough light doesn't mean you have a daytime render. You can have a nighttime render, you can have a dark mood, but still with enough light, and that's a big thing you gotta make sure of. Make sure you have enough light going on in your renders. And I'm just going to put up the render in here for a second. As you guys can see, it's still visible to anyone, but as you guys can see, it's not a feeling of a daytime render. So make sure please that you are using enough lights in your renders. Okay, so I'm going to now import a GLB file of my beast, and we're going to go to a quick lighting setup that I use all the time, especially for the how-to videos. It's really simple, it's really easy. There are a few ways you can do it. If you haven't seen the tutorial from, let me just make a new collection and put my beast in here. Beast collection, there we go. Oh, I didn't add everything. Okay, so there are a few ways we can achieve a cool lighting for it. If you haven't seen my Instagram tutorial on tri-point lighting, make sure to go check it out. I'm going to explain to you guys right now again how it works, but how to install it, you guys will have to check the Instagram. But it's really easy. It's an already installed add-on that goes with Blender. So I just selected my object, and I'm going to add a light, but not a point light, a sunlight, a spotlight, an area light. I'm going to add a tri-point light, because remember when we started there were 4 lights, but there were 3 lights that made the atmospheric vibe of it. So a 3-point light. This is actually a tool that is used a lot in product lighting environments. This is a 3-point lighting setup that is used in a lot of professional studios when they're doing product photography. So this is something that is used in real life as well, which makes it the ultimate tool for us to use when we're using it to recreate realistic environments. So I'm just going to put on my cycles that we can see what is happening into our scene. There we go. We still have an environmental light or world lighting. I always put it to 0 because I don't like the look of it unless you're working with an HDRI, which we will be looking at in 5 minutes. Okay, so we have our lights, and I don't see them anymore right now, so just give me a second. Okay, there we go. So we have our 3-point lights. This is a setup I love to use with 3 lights, but I don't like the way they put them. So I always make sure I rearrange them a bit in the way I like them to be. So I always take the first one and I'm just going to make sure, first of all, it is a little closer to our subject, and I like to put it above our subject. Again, really just above our subject, so we got a neat lightning, so we see a beautiful reflection of what's happening in here. Then I like a light that goes in front of our subject, because we're going to be watching our subject from here and you really want to see his face. Again, he's wearing a cap, so this one is a bit harder, so you have to make sure you can really see what's happening on his face. So I'm going to bring it really close to him and make sure our model is well lit. And the last one is our third light, and this light I usually put it in the back because I really love a backlit, a backlight which shows us the contours of our beast, what's happening from details when you're looking. It's going to shine a little bit through here and it's going to look very, very neat. So as you guys can see, this is not really the result I was hoping for. It's still very dark. So how are we going to fix it? We're going to select the lights and we're going to make sure our power is higher. As you can see, this is the light source from the top. I'm just going to put it at 15. We've got our light source here. It is a light source from the back, as you guys can see here on his shoes. It's really lighting up the contours of what's happening. And then we can go to the other one, which is right in front of him, and I'm just going to make sure it's a little bit lighter, and there we go. We have a beautiful light on top. I'm just going to make sure it's a little bit less because I think it's a little strong. There we go. We have some light here, so we see what's going on here. We see beautiful contours of our model, and we see what's happening right in front of him. However, if sometimes you need to do some more customization, you can choose to have instead of the 3-point lights, we can just go with some area lights. So again, we're just going to add an area light and we're going to put it at the exact same place we were talking about. So we've got a top light. I'm going to duplicate this light just by pressing Shift D. Now I can move it around the way I want. I'm going to make sure there is a backlight. And now with these lights, as you guys can see, I'll have to rotate them because our light right now is a square. So our square only shines the direction our orange line is pointing at. So if I do it like this, there won't be any light on our subject. However, if I turn it around, as you guys can see, the light goes onto our subject and it shines anywhere you want your light to point to. Again, we are going to use 3 lights and we still need to light up our beautiful face. So I'm just duplicating again, same way, and I'm moving it so that it is lighting up this front side, and there we have it. There we have it. I'm just going to turn it around a little bit, and I'm just making it bigger. I'm turning it around and I'm making sure it shines on his face. Again, right now, if you're not satisfied with the result, the things you can do is make sure you have more power, so it's a brighter light, or you can change the color of your lightnings. But if you're going for realistic renders, I would suggest sticking to the color range, which is more yellow orangey, not orange yellow bright, but like to the white, something yellow orangey. As you can see, this is a sun going down, an orangey sun. This is more a daylight situation, and this is more of a nighttime darker the vibe really changes when you're changing the color of the light. So please try some things out, try some colors out. But if you're going for realistic or semi-realistic, just stick between this range, like some blue, some yellow, some orange. Okay, so this is manual lighting. If you want to forget about everything I just told you, there's also a way which makes it very easy to set up a lighting environment for a whole scene without having to muddle around. I don't know if it's a thing people say. From now on, people will have to, because I just said it. If you don't want to mud around with point light, sunlight, spotlight, area light, we can just add an HDR to our scene. Okay, so this is Blender Kit. I've told you guys about Blender Kit a gazillion times. We're not going to go over it again. This is Blender Kit. Install it if you don't have to. It seems like I am not logged in right now, so I'm just going to look for the free assets. Okay, so these are HDRs, which means this is a realistic lighting setup that will light up your whole scene. For example, mountain landscape, twilight, sun ISO. I'm just clicking on it and voila. Our whole scene is lit. Not only our beast is lit, but you have a background and you have a photo, that is a 360 photograph that is around your scene, that emits the light of the sun that's hiding behind the mountains here. So there are a few options you can do with this. You can, for example, if you think, hey, this is a nice lighting setup, but I need more light, you don't have to switch to another one. You can just adjust your strength. There we go. And we have a brighter scene that we can use with our HDR. We can also search for example, a professional studio setup, which will give you some other lights and varieties of a lighting environment. The best thing you can do is, if you're working inside of a scene of, for example, a bathroom, is to take a bathroom HDR, because it will reflect better. Like every object in your room will reflect light, will emit light, and if you choose something that is close to where you're actually in, it's going to resemble it a lot better than, for example, living room lights, which is a good thing if you're going inside of a living room. But if you're doing a Chrono G space type sort of lighting inside of your living room, it's going to look a little bit weird, because as you can see, there's going to be some blue lights in there which you would not find inside of your living room naturally. I'm just going to show something. So we have a plane, he's standing on the plane. As you guys can see, it's not only lightning that gets created everywhere, it also casts a shadow. So there's actually a light source right now that's coming from there. And if we change our HDR, let's see, our light source is not coming from there anymore, but you can see from the shadow right now it's coming from there. And voila, there is a light source. As you can see it, it's a door that is going light through. So if you're working on something, for example, you have a I'm just going to make sure this is a little bit bigger. If you're working and you're doing a scene behind a house, as you can see, our lightning doesn't come through our plane anymore. So this is the thing with HDRs. You have to make sure you are looking at something that is going to go in the right direction. For example, right now there is no more light coming from your HDR into your scene. Well, there is some, but not the light that you wanted. I'm going to turn it around, and as you can see, now again, this is the lighting setup we wanted. And for example, I'm just going to make sure it's a little bit darker. As we can see, here it's darker, here it's brighter. It's because everything reacts to the light source our HDR has set up for us. We are not in control in this moment. We are just using what's given to us in this situation. Of course, you can change around with the settings. You can change around with how you want everything to react. For example, if you don't really like the backgrounds you're seeing here and you want to add your own, you can make your own HDRs, but that's a tutorial for another session, which is actually not too hard, and they work pretty well. So if there's interest in learning how to make your own, just let me know in the chat and we can go over it another time. But as you can see, for example, our light now changed drastically because our light is colored right now. So we have it's almost a green light that we're seeing here. For the bathroom lighting we had before, we see it's not colored at all. It's a clean white light, so it really matters which HDR you're using in your scenes, and you really have to make sure you're doing something that matches your environment. Another cool trick, I've showed the atmosphere add-on, but I'm going to show it again quickly one more time. If you're not a big fan of these ones, of these HDRs, you can just add an atmosphere. This is also a Blender Kit add-on. I'm just going to show it again real quick. Atmosphere, this is the one. It's not a free one, as you guys can see. It costs a little bit of money. So I would suggest, if you're on a budget, to just keep working with these HDRs. Just go through a ton of them. As you guys can see, there is a huge flavor of HDRs. You got a realistic setting, you got some eerie, darker vibes. You even got a night setting. For example, as I said, if you're doing a dark render, that doesn't mean there is no light. For example, I'm now just using it, and I'm going to put it at 1. As you guys can see, it's still night, but there is light coming from our scene. I'm just going to right now show the atmosphere add-on real quick, which is a pretty cool thing. We have our atmospheres. It's basically an HDR generator, but there are a little bit of let's see, there are a little bit of more, how do you say it, customization options you can use while using this one. For example, we have some earth, we have some hazy summer. It's all changing in the background, but that's not it, because right now we can change, for example, the position where the sun is. So right now we see our sun is here, and I'm going to make sure it is higher in the sky. So now it's behind the clouds, but as you guys can see, it changed our light source drastically. It was -87, it was dark, it was eerie, so the color of the light changes, because if your sun is higher, it's another time of the day. So for example, right now it's 7 AM, your sun is going down, it changes color a bit. If the sun is higher in midday, it's going to be a lot brighter. It's not going to be as orangey as you would think it is. So these are some things you really can do with the Atmosphere app to really create the mood, and to really make sure the mood is the exact mood you're looking for. You can change the atmosphere, you can change the colors of the atmosphere, you can change the stars, you can even change the clouds. Do you need bigger clouds? Do you need another seed? Like, do you want them to be a little bit different? Do you need them to be less thick, for example? Do you want less clouds? Do you really want it cloudier, really dark lights? Clouds, your coverage should be more, it's a really dark day, for example. You can do a lot with this plugin if you know how to use it, and if you just play around with it for a little while, and it's going to be a very fun plugin to work with. Just be aware that it costs some money, but that's a great way to also add a vibe to your scenes. And if you're not sure about the vibe you're going for, I'm just going to delete this. If you're not sure, then just go through all kind of different HDRs and it will tell you what's the best one you gotta use. And it's not working because I still got our atmosphere inside of it, so I gotta delete it first, remove, and now we can add our atmosphere. There we go. I'm just going to, okay, yeah, this one is it. Okay, now we're there. Now it's working again. Okay, so just go through all of them. Not my vibe, don't like it. Don't look at the background because you're mostly not going to work with the background. Something will be behind him or the background will be blurry when you're using your camera shot, but just look at how is the model reacting to the lights, how is everything in the picture. For example, I love something that casts a lot of shadow, but it all depends on the mood you're trying to set, and you just have to go some trial and erroring your way between some HDRs and maybe add some manual lights to the mix as well. If you, for example, you like this one but you think it's a little too dark from the back, you can just add a little manual light in front of his face. Make sure it's just not a strong light. There we go. So we have our environmental lighting. That's the cool vibe that we want, but we still have enough light in our render to be able to see everything and to make sure our focus is on the right thing we're wanting to put our focus on. Whew. Lightning, damn. Lightning is hard, guys. Lightning is super nice when you know how to do it, but it can be tricky, and sometimes you just gotta go for it and just do anything you want to try. Okay, that's it, guys. Yeah, it's BlenderKit. Yeah, so this works. This got some HDRs inside of it. It's got some brushes inside of it if you're into sculpting. It's got some scenes inside of it, and I'm just going to show you guys one little scene from our very good friend. As you guys can see it at the bottom, it's the best, it's the one and only, it's Juanito.
Juanito.
Of course, he's got some scenes up here, as you guys can see, incredible scenes. You can just use them for free, so Juan put his time in it, and as you guys can see, beautiful scenes. You can just use them, you can just put your beasts in them, and it's all for free. You got a paid version, but the free version offers Juanito's scenes as well, and as you guys can see, all these things you're seeing right now are free. Also the textures, these are all free. For example, if I want to change the texture of the arch, I'm just putting it on and it changes texture. So BlenderKit, you gotta get it. And also models, if you want to add if you want to add Andrew.
Oh my god.
Yeah, of course.
How did you search up one stuff? Did it just automatically pop up?
I did OTMV. Yeah. And there we have collab between Andrew and Juan. As you see, very easy to use. Okay, so that's it, guys.
But lighting is hard, but you definitely make it look easy. I need to get the BlenderKit.
That's a compliment, but it's really hard to make sure everything works the way you want it. So just try it. Go out. Just try it. Go out, and when you enter a room, look at the lights. When you go out into the world, look at where the light is coming from, and think about it. And once you start doing this, it's going to click better when you're doing 3D. So just be aware of your surroundings a little more, as a 3D artist, and everything will fall into place automatically. And BlenderKit is really super good, so just download it as well.
Do they have a lot of like free stuff to download, or majority is like have to pay?
Oh, this is like everything you're seeing right now is free. So they
Oh,
have
okay.
a lot of free stuff. So if you're not on the BlenderKit plan, just go here to your, I don't know what's it called. It's this icon. it's used in cooking and in science. I don't have any for the icon. And just select free first, and then you will see the free items first. Because if I unselect it, oh yeah, filter off. Chico, of course. The filter icon, as you guys can see. So if it's locked, you have to pay for it. But if you just select free first, then you will see everything free that you can use. And then you just click on it, and it's inside of your scene.
Okay, I was confusing it with where you got your lighting kit from. Where's that you got that from?
Oh, the
In the market? That's what
oh
that
yeah,
was.
this is the Blender Market. This one, yeah, that's Blender Market.
Okay.
So I posted the link on top. It's a really cool add-on. I'm just going to post it again. It's a really cool add-on. I use it a lot just to add some extra zing to the renders. Yeah, that's it basically.
Does anybody have any questions for Void?
Now is the time, fellas.
It's now or never.
Look at this couple. Yeah. I mean, Juan would be proud if he saw it in his world.
Yes, this was recorded, right?
Yes, everything is recorded, and I'm going to end the recording right now, so there is no more slop into it that Mimi has to cut.
And that's a wrap. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content. See you in our next maker session.